That would be Bethel.
Ready to go? All right. Welcome everybody to our regular April 8th Board of Finance meeting. Please join me for the pledge. If you're able to rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. There's a bunch of minutes here, and I know some people were here, some weren't, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start making motions, and Mary will let everybody know if you were here or not here, okay? All right, so I'm sorry, public input, we have no one here. Correspondence, Mary, I'm sorry?
No, we don't.
No correspondence, okay. So the first thing, we have a Board of Finance regular meeting from March 11th. I make a motion that we accept those minutes.
I was here, so I'll second it.
Excellent, we have a second, everybody have a chance, there's a copy here. Anybody have any comments on that one? I'm sure everybody's mind, seeing by saying aye.
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 Aye, okay. Cynthia's good, thank you.
Cynthia and James We're
Yep.
not here.
Cynthia and James are abstaining.
Okay. All right, so the minutes from March 19th, that was the public hearing. I believe everybody was there, but
No.
Mary, not everybody?
Bob Manfreda was not there.
Okay, so Bob Manfreda was not for the public hearing. I make a motion that we accept the minutes for the public hearing as Mary prepared. Do we have a second?
Since I was in the audience.
I'm sorry?
You got a second.
I'll second it.
Excellent. So we have a second. Oh, I'm sorry, Cynthia. Okay, so all in favor, signify by saying aye on the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so now we have the minutes special meeting from March 20th. I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Cynthia, I didn't see your hand there.
Oh, no, you leave the seconds to others.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I mean, understand.
We'll second that. All right. So any other March 20th meeting? I'll try everybody's mind. Everybody in favor, signal by saying aye.
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 All right. So we have the April 1st. We had a quick special meeting. I believe this was that quick one. April 1st. So it was a special meeting. I make a motion that we approve those minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All right. Any discussion on the April 1st special meeting? Try everybody's mind. Signal by saying aye.
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 All right, all right. And that's it for our minutes. So now we have, and I think I saw Eric on the call, I believe, right? So we have
Yes, hi.
an ask for CNR for 13,800. I think everybody has a little bit of backup for that. So Eric, would you like to speak of that?
Yeah, sure. It's basically more or less an emergency type of repair, not that urgent, but there's a lot of erosion under the bridge at Bennett Pond. I don't know if anyone's been there recently, but we had that huge flood in August, and that just really wiped out a lot of the soil under the bridge and the bank nearby. So this is to basically stabilize the bank and underneath the bridge so that nothing happens there, and also the spillway to repair some of the concrete on that. And the only reason it's more than the actual quote is it just added about 20% just as a contingency, just because with these sorts of projects, sometimes you don't know what you're going to find. But I don't expect to spend all that, and anything that's not spent will get returned.
Is this eligible for FEMA reimbursement if it's related to the storm damage?
I don't. That's a good question. I don't think so. I can't remember what we had looked in. We would have looked into it. I don't remember exactly what the reason was that it wasn't, but
So I think what happened, Eric, was when we spoke about this, we were not sure this was actually damaged by the storm because it was already damaged.
yeah, I mean, it just got worse.
Yeah, that's just first. The deadline for those types of grants passed already. And the other grants are gone. Like all the other grants we've been trying to get right now from FEMA have all been pulled. Officially, FEMA is going back to handling natural disasters, not mitigation. So we don't know where that other part will stand. I will say this, Mr. Chair, at some point, I know we're going to come back with something else for Bennett to have it dredged. We had looked at it with Bobby over the summer. I don't know whatever happened if we never got an official quote, but, that pond does need to be dredged at some point. And, it's used for the Bethel Fishing Game, et cetera. I'm guessing $40,000 or $50,000, whatever that time comes. But probably a while, considering what this year is.
So you're saying that's not on the radar right now?
It's, before Bobby left, he was gonna get a quote from Maggie. And we were thinking $40,000 or $50,000 to have it dredged. I haven't followed up with Eric or Bobby or anybody, but with this coming up, I'm just putting in your ear that eventually it's something that's going to need to be done. It's been a number of years since it was done last.
The last time it was dredged was under Steck's administration,
Yes,
and that was done for free in exchange. Person excavating it sold the dirt.
I don't know that that's actually, at one point that happened in history, but the last time it was dredged, the dirt is actually piled up on the property. Yeah, so if you
Yeah.
go down there,
It's been dredged in the last 14 years. that I
yeah,
know.
it has.
it was dredged one other time. Since then, but yes, somebody bought the dirt or whatever it was at one point.
It's Kovacs.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Excavated it, and
Yeah.
in exchange for doing it for free, he got to sell the dirt.
I don't know if there's anybody who's willing to sell the bottom, but I'm open to try. So when we do it, I know the last time though, that dirt is actually piled up on the property. So it's kind of, if you're looking at the pond, if you're walking on the edge, it's up on the right side, you can see the mounds. With grass on.
Rachel's online and she has her hand up.
Okay.
It was dredged last in fiscal year 14.
Rachel, do you have some information about dredging?
Well, no, Nick, I was gonna say, it was dredged in 2014 and that was charged to the Bennett Fund. But I just wanted to say, we didn't get dredging estimates for this time around because we felt that we did need to fix some of the waterway above because we thought that was the issue. So I'm pretty sure that Eric is looking into that. And I think that was the biggest issue. We said, we don't want to spend the money to dredge it if it's just going to continually happen with the way the rains have been coming in the last couple of years. There was no point to spending all that money, again, since we had just done it in 2014. So I think there was more things that Eric had to look into or whomever, just to see how that waterway above it was.
Yes, and thank you,
Eric.
Rachel.
Yep.
Just to give broader perspective, without getting into the weeds, as Dan kind of alluded to, we have sort of a broader, Dan had asked us to kind of look at town-wide at basically hot spots where there may be drainage issues. And this was one of them. So essentially, this is the immediate repair, but what we are looking into, we have brought on a drainage engineer to investigate some of these areas. So this is one of the areas that they're going to be looking into. And we're hoping that that they take a more holistic look at the whole pond and, upstream and downstream. And maybe if they can't come up with maybe some systems so that we don't have to dredge it again, then at least we want to get from them a schedule so that we know when it needs to be dredged so that we can put that in the capital plan more regularly and have some idea of when that's coming rather than just, be like, oh, I guess it needs to be dredged again.
Well,
So that's the plan.
I think when you can walk across it, it's time to dredge it. And it really depends
That works too.
how much winters you have, because that sand is going down the storm drain into the middle of that pond. So we know how it's filling up, right?
Yeah, so I mean, there may be some kind of, I don't know for sure, but there may be some kind of either design solution that might make it less, you wouldn't need to dredge it as frequently. Or at a minimum, we have kind of a plan in place where we say, okay, it's going to be dredged every so many years. And that way we know we can at least plan for it.
Okay. Number one, I see rip wrap, inlet slope, and stabilized fabric. I'm sorry, you talked about fixing underneath the slab, underneath the bridge. How are you going to stop the water? I mean, 11,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money.
So this is basically filling in the holes underneath the bridge, and there's also kind of a curve in the stream as it approaches there. So that's basically stabilizing that slope, so that the erosion doesn't affect the foundations of the bridge.
So are they using 3-inch material, not the clay to do that underneath the concrete?
No, they'd be using the clay underneath the bridge. The riprap is for the
So the
slope.
water's not gonna wash away the clay? Is that what you're saying?
Correct, yeah, yeah, that's the filter fabric, and the riprap is basically in the area where the bank is. Does that make sense or no?
No, it doesn't make sense. If you said they're putting 3-inch riprap material underneath it, okay, they're gonna get in there with their waders and they're gonna stuff it underneath that concrete to stabilize it, I would say, okay, that makes sense. But you're telling me they're using the clay, and if they take a shovel full of clay, it's gonna wash away with the water, isn't it?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, the area that has eroded is not necessarily just under the water. There,
Oh.
if that makes sense. I mean, I can't say specifically where they're going to put clay and where they're going to put riprap, because there's really kind of it's more of a length of area along the bank as you approach the bridge.
And you walked the site with him and
Mhm.
gave you the proposal? Okay, so he didn't tell you what he was gonna do? He just handed you the proposal?
No, he explained that he was going to fill in the holes and then basically cover it with fabric and then put the riprap to stabilize the bank. And the fabric prevents and the riprap prevents it from washing the clay away.
So it's not under the water, it's just on the bank of the brook, right? Is that
Yes.
what you're saying? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and was there any other bids? It was just one bid?
We just went with them. Yes.
You didn't look at other bids? Okay.
We didn't. We have good experience with them, and they're usually lower bidder than anyone else we look at. So we use them for this kind of work.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions?
There's no statute or charter that says we have to get multiple bids and take the lowest.
So I think under a certain dollar amount.
Okay.
How much was the limit?
50,000 by charter.
Cynthia, do you have something, or Bob, do you have any questions for Eric? Come on, Cynthia.
I do not.
Okay, all right.
No, I don't.
No, okay. All right, so, I wish you got other bids. I understand if they're a good contractor. I think they're out of Monroe. I know who they are. It would have been nice to see what a local guy, he's got to drive his equipment up from Monroe. There's obviously a cost there, but it seems reasonable price. So, does someone want to make a motion on that?
I guess I'll, make a motion that we expend the 11,000.
Well, he's asking for 20% contingency. It's 13. I'm sorry, 13.8.
Amount not to exceed.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed $13,800 in order to repair the embedded property.
Okay, so we have a motion on the 13,008. Does someone want to second it?
Second.
James seconded. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, and if you get a 12,200, that's what we're spending, right, Eric? We're not going to spend the money on something else. We're just going to take what the invoice is from.
Correct.
Okay. All right, I'll try everybody's mind. Saying aye in support of it.
Aye.
Aye.
I,
All right, let the record show unanimous. Eric, thanks for being on the call today.
Thank you.
I would just like,
Take care.
that I would like to see local companies have an opportunity to bid.
100%.
Even though it's a low amount, that low amount might be a big deal to a local company.
100%. Okay, the next thing on the agenda, and I agree, Karen, with you. And we're on the back of the page. We're saving paper. Mary does such a good job with that. Such a great job. So consideration of 19 Throwbridge Drive. I know Cynthia and I were against this. We never thought it was going to go so well, right, Cynthia? I'm going to eat.
yeah,
crow
we ate crow. We
Right.
ate some crow.
again. So Janice, would you like to speak about your offer, and then we'll see if there's a motion.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Economic Development Commission has accepted an offer for $300,000 for the last of the 4 lots. So it's 19 Trowbridge Drive. The buyer is Sam Lampert from Arctic Builders. He designs and builds residential homes. He's looking at building approximately 16,000 square feet of building space to run his business and possibly lease portions of the building to other businesses as well. And he's going to kind of determine based on the market what that will look like. So the Economic Development Commission has accepted that. The price that we were posting for was $377.5. The offer was originally $275. We negotiated for $300,000. We think it's a good price for the property. There are limitations to the property, although it's 3.02 acres. Only about 2 acres of that is easily developable. So we think it's a good offer. The other offer that we had received was at $200,000, which we didn't accept. So that's kind of the information I have. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Real quick, Janice, driving down into the dead end, this lot, number 19, is it with the retention pond on the
Yeah,
right?
it's right. It's on the right. Yep.
Is there is this a done deal or are they waiting for planning and zoning?
So planning and zoning is gonna, planning and zoning is gonna do a recommendation tonight. Board of Finance has to approve it. Board of Selectmen has to approve it. And then once we approve the sale of the property, then it'll go through planning and zoning.
Okay, so they're not going to buy it tomorrow. They're waiting for an approval for planning and zoning, like some other lots. Is that correct?
So we would go through the sale of the property once we have Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen, public hearing, the whole 9 yards. We'll go through with the sale of the property, but it's contingent on planning and zoning approval.
So it is contingent on that.
So
Yes.
let me correct part of this. So there's actually two pieces. There's the 824 review that zoning has to do, which they're doing this evening. Concurrently, you're doing your approval. We'll have a public hearing from the Board of Selectmen and then the Board of Selectmen approval. Those are the three things that have to happen. And then, of course, they have to have site plans and all the other stuff with BC.
But they're not going to physically buy it until their site plan is approved for planning and zoning.
Actually, no, they just did an 824 review, right?
Yeah, they're gonna put down a deposit on that property, but it's all contingent on planning and zoning. Now, we did have 2 properties that closed prior to the contingency where they waived having to go through planning and zoning approval, so they closed right away. The third property didn't, and so once they were approved with planning and zoning, we closed on that property, and that's probably what will happen with this one as well.
So this is the last
On
one,
the
right?
824, not the full site plan.
Yeah. the
Right, it
824
still has to go through a full site plan after we accept their offer.
After we accept it. So it's
After
gonna
we
be-
accept it,
So
but
it's gonna
Yes.
be like the last one where we might not get the money for upward 6, 9. 12
until their
months.
site plan is approved. Is that correct?
Right, but we'll have
That's
their
correct.
Okay.
This is the same one that fell through last year, by the way. This 19, somebody bought it once and it just didn't work out, so.
Yeah. Because the site plan wasn't approved?
Actually, why, I know the builder just changed their mind last time, right?
Yeah, they made an offer. This, like I said, this property's a difficult property to develop. So we've had some offers, but once they went through kind of conceptual plans, they didn't continue with their offer.
Okay. We're gonna hold our breath until their site plan is done. So. Okay. Cynthia, Bob, any questions up there? No? Okay. I think Cynthia, you want to say again to Janice, great job. I didn't think we were gonna.
Great job.
Thank
I'm
you,
very
Cynthia.
sorry. Be
Yeah, and
proud of you.
And just in terms of the project in itself, just, because it looks like we're going to kind of close this up. So just so you know, if this offer is accepted at $300,000, that'll be 1.8, a little over $1.8 million on those 4 properties. Our
Nice.
costs are about $772,000, so we will profit over $1 million on those 4 properties.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the $300,000 offer. Do we have a second, Cynthia?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion on the sale of the last piece, number 19 Throwbridge Drive? I'll try everybody's mind. Signal saying aye in favor. All right, excellent. Janice, thank you very much. And it's going to be a nice addition to the park. I can't wait. Are they going to take much rock out or are they just going to kind of sneak around?
Not at 19, at 20 probably, or 21 probably, but at 19,
Yep.
no. Mm-mm.
I hope it is stuff.
a ton around here. Excellent. Janet, thank you.
Great. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Thank you. All right. Now Brad, you have an auditor you'd like to
Yeah,
recommend
so-
to the board?
Every April, the Board of Finance votes to appoint the audit for the 2025 audit. Well, this year's 2025 audit. We need to report it to the state, I believe, by the end of April or early May. So we get it in front of you. We're looking to keep the same audit firm that we've had for the last number. I think the partner from the audit firm's been doing the town of Bethel over 25 years. The audit company's changed a couple times as he's moved or they've merged with different companies. I'm really comfortable with them. I know we've had some delays, but talking to other people, everybody's having delays.
It's not like Danbury, right?
Not like Danbury, no.
Just making sure.
Thankfully. And so my recommendation is that we stick with PKF O'Connor Davies. And I sent out to everybody the appointment of the engagement letter for you to review. The price goes up every year. I built in most of the price increase in the budget. If you look at it and you look at the budget, there's a difference between the engagement letter has 105, the budget says 99. Water, this covers water and sewer also.
Fortunately.
So a portion of it gets charged off to them. So that's where we're at. And just, I'm going to keep saying it whenever it is appropriate. This is the audit of the town and the Board of Ed. The town pays the full vote for it.
Yeah, another portion of the money
Yeah.
besides the Board of Ed money. Bob Manfredo's texting me all day that he wanted to make this motion, so I'm gonna let him. I told him I'd think about it.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
that's true.
despite the veracity of that statement, I will make the motion based on Brad's confidence in the firm that we, I guess what would have to be officially that we accept the comptroller's proposal to appoint PKF O'Connor Davies as the auditor for the town.
Excellent. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second, Cynthia?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion on Brad's recommendation for our auditor for 25-26? I'll try everybody's mind. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you for the motion and the second, people. Brad, thank you. The last thing on our agenda is our controller's report.
All right, so we are 3/4 of the way through the year. Obviously, we don't have 3/4 of the bill yet because the lag in getting in bills in. You'll notice most of the accounts are in that 75% range. On the expense side, you'll see like town insurance looks like we spend all of it. It's because we pay quarterly and they've gotten all 4 quarters and we haven't charged water into their portion of it. The biggest wild card on the expense side, everybody will be shocked to hear, is utilities. On paper, utilities doesn't look bad right now because it's like right at like 75%. But when you factor in the lag, we know utilities is going to be bad. We know there's a solar payment due in May and June of $100,000. So we know utilities are going to be bad. We just don't know how bad yet. In the next 3 weeks, Dan Sevi and I will be meeting with all the department heads to do our quarterly review. Most accounts are looking good. My only real concern is utilities. Obviously, it's a huge
It's the
concern
only one you're concerned right now?
right
You
now.
feel pretty good?
And, most things are running pretty good. And we know we have a couple $100,000 in savings from the bond refinance. We know, unfortunately, we have some vacancies we haven't been able to fill. Bad for operations. Budget wise, it's been good right now, and we know, I think we're going to have some health savings. So my hope is still to be able to fund the CNR account, the full $1 million. Obviously, if that sale of property goes through before June 30th and we get paid on it, that money would also go to CNR. The sale of the previous free properties have put up $1.5 million so far in the CNR. So I'm not really concerned with getting money into CNR. I feel like we made a promise to the town to fund CNR this year, $1 million. I want to uphold that promise.
Yeah.
And we're going to do everything we can to try to do that.
Well, we're going to do it.
Utilities is the thing. we've already funded. We're gonna hit 1 million between all those sources. I would love to tell you when 2025 is done, yes, we were
1,200,000.
able to make up the
Yeah.
utility shortfalls elsewhere. I'm just, April 8th, I can't make that promise, but we're gonna fight as hard as we can to do it. But most, knock on wood, most things are looking good right now. So
So besides the utilities, because we promised the town of Bethel that we were putting $1 million in CNR,
Yeah.
is the only problem is utilities. You're
right
saying?
now, yeah, like there's gonna be things that pop, like the year that like Park and Rec was bad, Fleet was bad to the tune of $150,000. Two of their big plow trucks could break tomorrow and they could be $20,000 fixes each. So like, there's always bad things that can happen that I wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about, but and that's why we're doing our quarterly reviews too. And if somebody knows something that they're worried about, we want to know about it. And I think most department heads know, don't wait till your quarterly review, but it's nice to sit down and look at all the accounts and see. what's
Sound
going on.
alarm before there's a problem. Right? I gotcha.
So that's where we're at with on the expense side. Revenue side, interest was budgeted for 650. We're at $1.9 million. So right now to hit our budget number, we need 18.6 more in revenue. 4.3 million is going to still come in for ECS money. I haven't transferred the $500,000 tax stabilization fund yet. We'll talk about towards the end of the year, because we know interest is high, if we want to do it or if we want to just let it sit in the tax stabilization fund for a future year, because it would be nice at some point.
You mean don't take the 500 out? That we earmarked already, you're saying?
Yeah, so we'll have to look at if we want to. So if we put the 500,000 in the tax stabilization fund in revenue this year and pull it out of the tax stabilization fund, in essence, it's just going to fall out the fund balance. But it would be nice to have a year that maybe we
Just stuff it a little bit more than you.
or don't take out the 500,000 we put in. My hope after last year was 26 budget, we put in 500 and only use 400. The next year put in 500, but we need the whole 500 this year to even get to a 4.24% tax increase.
So because our revenue on our general fund balance is higher, we can use that instead of taking the 500. Because that's how we created the mill rate.
Because we could hit our I think we're going to easily hit our revenue number without it.
Plus, right.
So, but we'll have that conversation. That's not a Brad decision. That's a Board of Finance decision down the road. But I just it's something I kick around. And today I think it sounds good. Tomorrow I go, maybe it's better in fund balance because we have the HVAC to pay without having to
Other
borrow
things,
money.
other
So,
bills, yeah.
But realistically, we don't need to make that decision until we close the fiscal year for 25. Because it's not, the money doesn't sit in a separate bank account for tax stabilization fund. It's a journal entry. And that journal entry can happen in December of next year or this year, but just something to consider that we'll kick around a lot. And we'll talk about that again in the future when we know what else is going on. But obviously revenue wise, I'm not concerned. Conveyance is already over. Recording fees are falling a little short, but it's conveyance and recording fees are what comes in the door of the town clerk's office. There's nothing we can control over it.
Mhm.
Park and Rec looks low because they're at 56% right now,
They have
but most of that money's going to come in April with camp.
programs, right?
So camp sign up starts right after spring break for the kids. So I think April 21st. So Rachel, I think, is going to hit her $1.4 million, but that's 500,000 that hasn't come in yet. Those are kind of the big numbers. Licenses of permit for building and zoning, they're at 95% of the budget number.
And he's still 3 months ago.
And he's still 3 months to go. So actually they sent up a bunch of stuff today that I would almost guarantee that at least 19,000 was in it. So they hit it really in the first 9 months. So, and we still, if you look at miscellaneous state revenue up top under intergovernment, 282,660, we always get in May. So that state money that comes in May, why they pick May to send it, they send in July, they kind of space it out. Even if you look at the ECS money comes in 3 segments. We got a quarter of it in like September, a quarter of it in January, and I think in May we get half.
We wait for the last one.
Yeah, I'm sure they wait until after tax receipts in April to send the bulk of it. So as far as 25, that's where we're at right now.
All right. Any questions for Brad on any of the numbers? No. James, this is another one that you wanted to make a motion on this one, I know.
Make a motion to accept Comptroller's report for March.
As presented, and Will?
I'll second the motion.
Excellent. Okay. I'll try everybody's mind. All in favor?
Aye.
And Cynthia, you wanted to make the motion to adjourn, didn't you, from France?
Yes, je voudrais faire une motion pour, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second her motion.
We have a second. Great. Thanks for joining us both there. All right, Bob, happy to have you back. All in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Au revoir.
That was good, Cynthia.